Good evening. There are a lot of developments tonight, and here's the latest about the terrorist attack against America. The White House and congressional bargainers have just agreed to a $40 billion anti-terrorism bill. That money will also be used to help recover from attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon.
For the first time since the Gulf War, the Pentagon may call up the reserves. And that building caught fire again. It flared back up around 7 tonight and is still smoldering at this hour.
We have top story team coverage for you tonight. We're going to start with News 3's Jim Snyder. He is live just blocks away from Ground Zero in New York City. And Jim, you got your first glimpse of the city as you came through the Lincoln Tunnel after 3 days of driving to get out there. That skyline has drastically changed, isn't it?
It sure has, Nina. There's a hole in the middle of it where those two towers should be, just behind me. For anyone familiar with the New York skyline, it's as obvious as two missing front teeth. It just doesn't look the way it should. We have some breaking news to bring you right now, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to come out here to bring you live reports, to bring you the very latest. Hope is running very thick in the air here right now because of a report that's on the wires that says a police officer trapped in the rubble was able to call his wife late tonight from a cell phone that they found in there. He says he is with 10 officers, 5 New York City police officers and 5 Port Authority officers, that they are all still very much alive, waiting and hoping to be rescued. That is the kind of news that has the crews that are working down there where you see the smoke rising into the horizon. That is where the World Trade Center towers used to be. That's the kind of news that gives them renewed strength, renewed energy, as they have all been working around the clock since this happened on Tuesday. Let me show you something else that continues here tonight. And this is people lining the streets, New Yorkers coming out down here to West Street, where the emergency vehicles come back and forth down to the site. And then the dump trucks leave full of rubble. You can see they have signs that say thank you. They shout God bless the USA when the crews come by, and they just want them to know that they appreciate all of their hard work. Some of the people I talked with say it's just a little something they can do to try to help out.
My husband's a policeman, and so I figured that he said when he drove by he felt so great to see all these people supporting him, so I figured I'd come out here and try and do my part.
They smiled, they thank us, and you know, it helps me, and I wanted to be able to do something.
We're here to cheer them on, make them feel a little bit better about everything that they're seeing down there. I think so, because they smile, and that's what means the most, I think.
I want to show you one picture briefly as we close here to give you some idea of why I felt compelled to drive 54 hours to come out here and cover this story live from here in New York. This is a picture that was taken 1 week ago today, and I think you're looking at it now. This is my wife Adina and I. We were here on vacation last week, and just over my shoulder you can see the World Trade Center towers as they used to stand here last week. Because I had just been back in Las Vegas for a couple of days before this happened, it was important to me to come back here and to be a part of covering this story. But again, Kendall and Nina, the very encouraging news tonight is there may still be survivors trapped down in that rubble, so this rescue operation continues through the evening, and we'll be here to watch it.
And you're not the only media person, Jim, that drove across the country to get there, are you?
No, there's a crew here from Little Rock, Arkansas that was a little disappointed when we showed up because we broke their record. Before we got here, they had the longest drive time, but we kind of blew that out of the water. And there are crews here starting to arrive now from some other cities. No one as far out west as us, but as you know, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to get anywhere by plane, especially into the New York area. So people are starting to drive in to cover the story.
Jim, the news about the 10 individuals that might be trapped underneath there but still alive is so encouraging to hear. Is there any way to know where they might be in relation to all the rubble?
That is exactly why what they're trying to pinpoint now. Apparently the people inside didn't even have that clear of an idea of exactly where they were, but they'll be bringing the dogs around to all the different areas and trying to locate, pinpoint where they might be. That's only half the battle. No one knows how much debris is on top of where these people have found some little air pocket, apparently to survive even tonight, several days after the disaster.
Regardless, encouraging news, Jim. Thank you. News 3's Beth Fisher continues tonight's team coverage.
She joins us live along the Strip. And Beth, you met up with 2 firefighters from the East Coast who are stuck in Las Vegas.
2 New Jersey firefighters who were in Las Vegas on vacation until Wednesday, but of course Tuesday morning they woke up, turned on the television in their hotel room here at Circus and saw what all of us have been seeing the past 3 days. They are absolutely devastated, and understand though that they feel differently about this than the rest of us because these guys really can help. They're part of a rescue operations team. They know that there are now more than 300 firefighters missing. They want to be there. They are desperate to get home and get to work.
It's all in the brotherhood. Right? We have 200. We have 200 brothers or more down in the city, and we're trying to get back so we can help them, help the brothers that are there find our brothers. And
well, you can't stand here and see a firefighter go down and not want to jump in and help him. It's impossible, whether it was the guy that I'm friends with my whole life or someone I've never met. You just see a firefighter and they go down, and for something that it wasn't even an accident, it was terrorist, and you just want to do anything, whether you're giving them water, digging somebody out, whatever they need, we would do in a second just to help them.
These men are firefighters in Lodi, New Jersey. That's just about 8 miles from Manhattan. Both men asked me to just make a plea on the air tonight. If you're watching this newscast and you have any ability to help them get home, they are desperate to get out of here. They've called every airline. They called Nellis Air Force Base. They're ready to get back home. They say their fellow firefighters are exhausted, and it's time for them and their crew of men to get in there and relieve those exhausted firefighters and do what they love to do. Reporting live from the Strip, I'm Beth Fisher. Back to you in the studio.
All right, let's hope somebody's listening, Beth. Thank you. News 3's Steve Krupe continues our team coverage live from McCarran Airport.
And Steve, planes are back in the air at this point, but it is still slow going for travelers.
Yeah, very slow going. Only a handful of flights are back on their normal schedule. Some airlines, like Southwest, didn't operate any of their flights today. Southwest is scheduled to go back into business around noon tomorrow, but the airport is open and those tough new security rules are in effect. The eerie desolation of the past few days has finally given way to the resumption of airport activity. The first takeoff happened around noon as this Delta jet lifted off for Salt Lake City, and in the hours after that there's been a steady trickle of takeoffs and landings, all happening amid some very tight security.
Please step away. There still was a lot of security at the gate, checking purses, looking inside.
You know what? I don't mind. If they're going to check everybody like that to make sure that we're safe, check us.
Despite the extremely heavy security here at the airport, there are not yet any massive crowds or long lines. That's because not nearly all of the flights are up and running. But when the airport in the days ahead is fully up to speed, you can expect extremely long lines at these checkpoints. I understand your pilot actually talked to you about this.
Yes, he did.
What did he say?
He said that he wanted to fly yesterday, and he was glad that we were flying, and said, God bless America.
Do you have your boarding passes available?
Even though the airport is back in business, there are many flights that remain canceled or delayed, leaving a lot of travelers stranded just a little bit longer. And the flights that operated today were primarily those that were delayed or stranded or diverted on Tuesday. Tomorrow is the day when several airlines hope to have their full flight schedules back up and running. That is the latest. Live from McCarran Airport, I'm Steve Krupe. Back to you.
All right, Steve, the airlines are asking passengers to do some research before you go to the airport. You want to phone your airline or check their website to get the latest information on schedules and cancellations.
The Air Force Thunderbird started practicing again in southern Nevada skies this afternoon. The group took off for training at Indian Springs after flying their F-16s over Nellis Air Force Base. We are told today's exercises are not out of the ordinary. Nellis officials say their troops train every day of the year to prepare for potential combat. Should America strike back? The government is busy tracking down who's responsible for Tuesday's attack. Once we find out for sure who planned it, Las Vegans say we should go to war. Take a look at our exclusive News 3 Listens Insta poll. 88% of locals told Survey USA they support U.S. military airstrikes against those responsible for the terrorist attacks. 4% of those we asked oppose military action. Another 8% just aren't sure.
A popular high school teacher is being remembered by her students. Barbara Edwards taught French and German at Palo Verde High, but she was killed when her American Airlines flight crashed into the Pentagon. Today, her students left messages of love, constructing this memorial in her honor. 2 other Las Vegans were on board the jet with Edwards, retired Rear Admiral Wilson Bud Flagg and his wife, Darlene.
A small sign of hope today among the piles of rubble in what used to be New York's World Trade Center. 2 New York firefighters emerged alive from an underground pocket they'd fallen into Thursday under the rubble. Crews began cheering and chanting USA when they were found. It lifted their spirits to keep digging for other survivors. The firefighter who found the trapped men had this to say.
Up and down. Just tell us what happened. What happened today, sir?
All I did, I put my hand in and I felt the guy's hand, and that's all I knew was that I just kind of got in shock and went down, and then they're the men right down there. They're the guys that are doing it right now. I'm not the hero here.
Originally, it was reported that 5 firefighters were found in a damaged SUV. That report turned out to be erroneous.
You know, with all this going on, local firefighters have been glued to their televisions as well, wondering what they would do in the same situation. As Stacey Escalante reports, the firefighters at Station 19 say this tragedy makes them feel proud, but at the same time, helpless.
Toby, all I got you was tacos. 2 tacos is what I got. 2 shrimp tacos.
You're watching out for me.
Lunchtime conversation for this family of 5 centers on one subject.
Yeah, just knowing there's a fire, you're going to go up there and fight the fire.
The crew at Station 19 puts themselves in their fellow firefighters' shoes.
You watch what these guys did. They did it by the book. We would have done the same thing. If that plane would have crashed into the Mirage, we would have been inside. We would have been inside.
I looked at it and I said, you know what? Would I have gone in? Would I have gone in? Yes, I'd have gone in.
They're thinking, okay, there could be people in there. They knew there were people in there, so they're going in, and that's what we do.
And that's why it's so hard to sit helplessly and watch.
Well, we possess the skills to do a lot more than give blood. And to be far away and not being able to help it's horrible. It eats you up at night.
All 5 say if they could go to New York, they would.
Let me tell you, if I had to go, my family would be sad.
Do I think it makes my mom a little nervous? Yeah, probably.
But as these firefighters put it, you risk a lot to save a lot. And the latest signs of life among the rubble make it all worth it.
There's tremendous voids that are created in there where people can still be alive. And as long as the possibility of life still exists, there's not one of our brothers and sisters throughout the United States that would stop. Not one.
Stacey Escalante, News 3.
Now, some local firefighters might eventually end up in New York City helping out there as part of the Las Vegas FEMA team, which is currently 5th on a waiting list.
While New York City's finest worked nonstop sifting through the rubble and dust, the North Las Vegas Fire Department added 20 new firefighters to its ranks. The graduation ceremony was held in the City Council chambers as family and friends looked on. Each of the new firefighters had to complete a 10-week training course learning about fire behavior and suppression, emergency medical service and safety training. Today's graduation had a different feel, though, as the new rescue workers reflected on the men and women who lost their lives in Tuesday's attack.
It's definitely worth it, and I'm proud to be able to say that I'll have that opportunity to possibly be able to help somebody someday.
This graduating class is the largest in North Las Vegas history.
President Bush has designated tomorrow a national day of prayer and remembrance.
And he's urging Americans to honor the victims with noontime memorial services, including the ringing of bells at that hour and candlelight vigils in the evening.
There are a number of prayer services and vigils taking place tomorrow locally. Here's a look at those, and we'll be right back.
President Bush fought back tears during an Oval Office statement today. After speaking by phone to the mayor of New York City and the governor of New York, Bush spoke to reporters. The president said America is tough and we must seize this opportunity to fight terrorism on behalf of future generations.
I'm a loving guy, and I'm also someone, however, who's got a job to do, and I intend to do it. And this is a terrible moment, but this country will not relent until we have saved ourselves and others from the terrible tragedy that came upon America.
The president said he is confident there will be universal approval for the actions he takes.
Former President Bill Clinton traveled to New York City today, 2 days after the deadly terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center. Mr. Clinton recently completed a trip to Australia where he made paid speaking engagements. He was welcomed today by throngs of New Yorkers and spoke to reporters on the streets.
Well, the important thing is that I'm not president. I'm a citizen, and I'm going to support the president, and that's what I want every American to do. They know what they have to do. They have to find the facts, and then they have to take appropriate action. I can tell you this, having been there, it may or may not be simple, easy, and quick. It may be complicated, difficult, and protracted. And we have to be willing to pay the price of fighting a very different kind of adversary. But we've got to stay together. And those of us who are citizens and not in positions of responsibility, we need to work with the mayor here, the governor, all these fabulous fire, police, guards people, all these relief workers. We need to support them, and we need to help the victims and those who didn't survive, their families, and we need to rebuild this city.
Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton visited New Yorkers yesterday. She too is urging Americans to stand behind the president during these difficult times.
Back here locally, the National Guard is helping United Blood Services. UBS has collected more than 1,500 units of blood from Las Vegas over the past few days. But now they're running low on blood bags. So the National Guard is heading down to Puerto Rico to pick up some more. Staff members there have worked at least 18 hours the last 2 days. If you would like to donate, you're asked to visit the center on Charleston, fill out a pledge card, and then come back later for your scheduled appointment.
Life along the Strip is starting to return to normal if that's possible. Today, the Bellagio fountains kicked back up to entertain crowds. They were turned off for a time after the attack. Tomorrow at 12:30, the Bellagio is going to hold a moment of silence for 1 minute in support of those affected by the terrorist attack. The Stratosphere is also back open for business. The tower had also shut down after the attack on Tuesday. People can now catch a sight of Las Vegas from up high again and ride the Big Shot and High Roller rides.
The largest Strip casino operator is offering help to the victims. Today, MGM Mirage donated $1 million to the American Red Cross. You're looking at a live picture of the MGM courtesy of our Mandalay Bay camera. You can see the casino is showing off its patriotism, an American flag waving on its sign, a sign that says, "God bless America." That money will go to help the victims and their families in New York, Washington, D.C., and Pennsylvania. Now, if you'd like to help the victims of the disaster, Channel 3 has teamed up with Courtesy Automotive Group and the Red Cross to set up a disaster relief fund. You can go to any Courtesy location to donate cash, or you can log on to kvbc.com for an address to mail in your donations.
And Dr. Jim, we saw earlier in Jim Snyder's report it's raining in New York City, and that has to play a role in what's going on there.
Yeah, it's not very good news for them because the showers have been very strong showers. We're talking about a cold front that's moving through that area. But the good news, though, I guess if there's good news about this, is that it's not going to be sustained. I think the storm's going to move in and it's going to keep on going. But already with the rain that's fallen, you can just imagine with the dust, debris, mud, it's really going to make it kind of a mess for them there. But overall here, our forecast has been pretty nice last couple of days. As we look tonight from our Fitzgerald cam, as you see the lights of Las Vegas looking pretty good. Let's take a look at those current conditions. Right now at the airport, skies are clear, 85 degrees, southwest winds at 9 miles an hour. But you don't have to go very far to see some pretty good light shows going on as far as some thunder showers. We'll get to that in just a second. Let's go ahead and check our numbers for today. Our high was actually on the warm side for this time of year. 99 was our high today with a lot of sunshine, a little breezy at times. The record 109. We were not even close to that, and that's probably some good news. But we did see some pretty good showers developing tonight, and most of that is going to be moving out quickly, and we're still seeing some of the remnants of this. Actually, a lot of this right in this part of the region is more of some of those outbursts, those downburst winds that are moving out ahead of these thunderstorms, but we've seen some pretty good activity around the area tonight. Well, as I mentioned, we did see some pretty good thunderstorms also around New York, and here you can see that line stretching all the way down into the Appalachians. You see another round of showers on the way, although I think a lot of this is going to take a little dive down to the south. But you can see now around New York especially that the rain is sort of spreading out a little bit. That's not the greatest news, but overall this cold front is going to keep on going. It's going to push itself right out to the Atlantic Ocean. So here's a look at our forecast. We're looking at 69 for our low temperature tonight, 95 for our high tomorrow with south winds. It's going to be a pretty nice day, just light winds out there. Here's your 5-day outlook. Overall, we're looking at a lot of sunshine, except Saturday and Sunday. We still have this question mark about this moisture that's coming up from the south. Overall, I don't think we're going to see the showers here, but that chance is still there. I just got to mention it. Highs in the 90s, lows generally in the upper 60s, and low 70s, and that's your forecast.
Thanks, Dr. Jim.
You know, we've seen a lot of demonstrations of unity across the United States and here in Nevada. You've seen coordinated clothing, candlelight vigils, and perhaps you've received some of the many emails, including prayers and good thoughts. Well, everyone, it seems, is looking for something to do to show support for the victims. Local musician Sean Eiferman wrote a song about Tuesday's attack.
Lift your head up, we'll get through today.
Sean's song is called Find a Way, and he performed it this evening at the Reserve. Sean is selling CDs of the song for $5, and 100% of the proceeds will be donated to the Uniformed Firefighters of Greater New York Widows and Children's Fund. As a father himself, Sean wants to be sure to support the families of firefighters who have died during the rescue effort. You can hear Find a Way on KKLZ, and you can purchase a copy of this song at Mars Music. We'll be right back.
I think today is the day that we have to unite, 'cause I can't help.
This is a live picture of McCarran Airport, and normally at this time you would see a little more activity on the tarmac with planes positioning themselves for takeoff. You might even see some flights taking off or landing just with this quick shot, but nothing like that tonight. A handful of planes are coming and going, but it is really a slow trickle of tourism compared to our normal fare. And now the casinos and sports books are taking a loss as gambling dollars dwindle in Las Vegas. Some are predicting the Las Vegas economy will take a major hit because of events across the country, primarily because tourists can't get in or out. But now that some flights are taking off, it is a good sign for our local economy. Denise Roche reports that's because workers here know we have to get people moving again to financially survive this crisis.
It's mid-afternoon and the sidewalks along Las Vegas Boulevard are almost empty. Even traffic is light as a country continues to mourn.
I left here at 8 o'clock last night after my shift, and the strip was practically empty.
Reverend Jim Hamilton works at the Candlelight Wedding Chapel. He knows the marriage of this German couple may be one of the few happy moments of the day.
We've had about 22, 23 cancellations here in the last 2 or 3 days.
And chapels are hardly alone. Stranded visitors are now forced to watch what they spend, and casinos are feeling the pinch.
And at some point, people generally are going to bet as much as they want to bet and no more, and that's one of the reasons that we understand that. We obviously want to see the flow of people in and out, but when you have that limitation, that has an effect on us, no doubt about it.
I think it's going to take a while before we really know what the full impact of this is.
Rob Powers is a spokesperson for the Convention and Visitors Authority. He says at least one trade show is already considering pulling out of its September time slot, a jeweler's show that would have meant at least 6,000 conventioneers.
Come by the Welcome Center. We're giving away free shows. We're giving away dinners. Just come by and see us, and we'll take care of you.
Despite the uncertain times, many visitors remain positive and thankful Las Vegas resorts have been so generous.
And they said, we'd never put you on the street. We were actually traveling with other people and said, as many nights as you need to extend your stay, we'll be happy to put you up. And they gave us a great rate.
Denise Roche, News 3.
Coming up, the professional sporting world decides to take the weekend off.
And the attack on America has caused the UNLV football game scheduled for tomorrow night to be rescheduled. We're going to hear from Coach Robinson next on News 3, where news comes first.
As we mentioned right before the break, all major sporting events this weekend have either been canceled or postponed. The NFL, NASCAR, Major League Baseball, and the rest of college football will not be playing this weekend. NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue made the decision not to play the NFL Week 2 schedule this morning in New York City. Some teams are considering sending Week 2 salaries for the players directly to families affected by this tragedy. Later, the league will determine whether or not the season will be reduced to 15 games or just make up Week 2 later in the season. Seems most players agree with the decision not to play these games.
A little more difficult. We sit here and we can see the fire still smoking right there. We come out every single day for the last 8 years, and I've seen 2 towers standing there. They're not there. There's nobody thinking about football. Nobody's mind is on a game this Sunday. For us to play, would be ridiculous.
The Rebels game against Colorado State has been postponed until October 20th, but today the team still did practice, trying to get better for the rest of the season whenever it does start again. It was nice for the players and coaches to get out on the field. It felt okay, but playing a game under these circumstances just wouldn't be right.
For me, it just makes you stop thinking about all that, stop, standing in front of the TV set. I'm glad there are no games. I thought all along that was the right thing to do, and now I think that's universal in America, and that's right. We need to pause and mourn our people, and then start our lives again.
Yeah, it's interesting because we were just talking about this. You were scheduled to be in a race. I was scheduled to go to a football game, but nobody, I think, is in the mood for such a thing.
It's hard to get fired up and be supportive of a team when all this stuff is going on.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there's just too many other things happening, and it's just constant television coverage of how bad things are for fellow Americans, and then to think that you can just jump in the car and go down and tailgate before a game, it's certainly not going to work. We also stumbled on another story out at Rebel practice. Joe Haro, the great running back for the Rebels, grew up in New Jersey in the shadow of what used to be the World Trade Towers. We'll hear from him tomorrow and get his take on something that's hitting very close to home for him and the Haro family.
Oh, man. All right. Thank you, Mitch.
We'll be right back.
Over the past 3 days, we've given many examples of Las Vegans coming together and trying as best they could to help the people in New York City.
No greater one than tonight, perhaps. We talked to Beth Fisher earlier in the newscast, and she mentioned a couple of firefighters who are stuck here. They're actually New York firefighters from New Jersey, to be exact, and they are so ready to go help their fellow firefighters as they sift through the rubble there.
Yeah, at the end of that story, they made a plea saying, hey, anybody that can help us out to get back home, please let us know. And since that time, just in the last 20 minutes here, we've received many phone calls, people offering plane tickets, airfare, whatever it takes to get them back home. And it's just another great example of what Las Vegas is doing to help out.
Yeah, even rides across the country.
Yeah.
So we hope that they can get back home. We want to mention that tomorrow morning at the Lamar's Donuts at Craig and Jones, you can pick up one of these flags if you're interested. They're being provided by American Legion Post number 8, and there's only a limited number, we should tell you.
Also tomorrow morning, the Las Vegas Review-Journal is going to print a special full-page, full-color American flag in an effort to make sure everybody has one.
Thanks so much for watching tonight. Be sure to watch News 3 tomorrow for all the latest updates.
Have a good night.